Everyone, it's almost time. He's almost here. He's coming. He's coming. Oh my goodness. One, two more, please. I hope you've seen a good little boy. Time for wrestling with the paranormal
So I couldn't help but
Welcome,
notice that.
everyone.
Sorry, pardon the
Go
interruption.
ahead.
I couldn't help but notice that the lighting one's got in the festive mood today.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if he was the first one up on Christmas morning, waking up all his brothers and sisters. You know, when I was a kid, in the middle of the summer, my brothers and sisters woke me up early in the morning telling me it was Christmas, and I got all excited. We were like, wait a second.
Oh dear. Yeah, but hey, you never know. Who even knows if he's got family? We do not know anything about the Enlightened One.
Yeah, we don't know much about him. And we don't know much about that magician assistant there who starts the show with him.
Yeah. Again, I can't comment.
We are joined this today by a good friend, Golden Graham. Here we go.
Mr. Graham.
How you doing,
Hello,
Golden
guys.
Graham?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, mate.
Merry
Yeah, very, very well, thank you.
Christmas to you. And Merry Christmas to everyone watching. Merry Christmas to
Megamoo.
Heaven
Megamoo.
Renegade, also known as Megamoo.
Sorry, I'll still laugh
And
at that.
I'm of course, the patron saint of professional wrestling. I'm that gingered up, bubbly Christmas son of a bitch. I'm Canada Dry, damn it.
Woo, I love that intro. And of course, I am the magician, and this is the only paranormal show made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans.
Introduce
Absolutely.
yourself.
And I am Joseph Graham, known as the Golden Graham here in the AFW community. Just here to talk some wrestling and wish everyone happy holidays.
There you go. There you go.
That's right.
So
You work at the Gap, sir? Do you work at the Gap?
No, do not.
Well, I find the only people that wears happy holidays are like corporate people. Like it's just like happy holidays. Like everyone else
I
is
do
Merry
work.
Christmas.
I do work for a major bank, so they say happy. They drill in.
Oh, it's
happy
like in your
holidays.
head. I see what's going on there. Yeah.
Usually, I usually do say Merry Christmas, and if someone replies something else, it doesn't bother me. The way I look at it, I wish you what I celebrate. You wish me what you celebrate, and call it a day.
Exactly.
There
Yeah,
you go.
I'm not being all what do we got? We got a war on Christmas. we're not
Yeah,
doing
no.
that. No, everything's cool. But I'm just curious because that's probably the first happy holiday greeting I got so far.
Ah.
Interesting. So first thing first, Canada Dry. How are we doing? I know you're a bit injured at the moment.
What the heck is going on? Something that Enlightened One. He's up to something. He's sticking bananas under my feet. He's pushing me while I'm running, jogging down the road. Something's going on here.
But of course, are you okay though? That's the main thing.
I'm on the mend. I've got I took a fall on the ice the other day. I hurt my my elbow and I hurt my knee. I got a knee brace on now from one of my many previous injuries. I've now, when you keep getting injured, you all of a sudden have a plethora of medical equipment at your disposal because you had to pay for it.
You essentially become first aid on yourself.
Oh yeah. Someone falls down in front of my house. I'm like, hold on, I got a knee brace, I got an arm brace, neck brace, so we're good.
You're basically a mobile hospital, is what you're saying,
That's
huh?
right.
Canada Dry.
That's right. That's right.
There you go. There you go.
And of course, we have Noob here.
Straight on Noob.
faithful
Hey,
Merry
what's
Christmas,
up,
pal.
Noob?
And of course we got Heaven. So how
So
many's watching?
we have what do we have? What do we have on the show today?
Well, of course we have two things in the vault. We're going to talk about the Galaxy news, where we look about everything what's going on in wrestling. Then we're going to talk about some Christmas stories in our main event.
That's exciting. I want to get to know what your favorite Christmas songs are and your favorite Christmas drinks, all that kind of stuff. We'll talk about that as we go.
Of course.
But as we said earlier, it's time for. It looks like it's time to open up the vault.
Do you know the combination? So this is the part of the show where we take a deep dive into the vault. So Canada Dry, what's in the vault this week?
Okay, so I found out someone's stalking. I think it said Dallas on it, and it kind of smelled weird, so I just threw it back in there. I'm not dealing with that. Uh, and then I was looking around, and I found this video for you guys to all watch. Hold on, here we go.
What even is that he's actually eating?
Okay, so that's Fruit Cat. Follow him on Instagram. He's the official cat of F and Wrestling. So I got a jar of maple pickles, and they are so good. And so it's like he
Really?
usually likes fruits and a little bit of vegetables here and there. So I was like, "Hey, you want a pickle?" And he just started mowing on it. So I was like, "I got to record him doing as I record him doing all his fruits and veggies."
Everybody loves Fruit Cat, right?
Yeah,
How can you
everyone.
not?
Yeah. So we got one more thing in the vault. I'm looking at the back of the vault here, and I'm seeing a piece of paper. Looks like a photograph or something. Here we go.
What the?
So as you can see, it looks like an old vintage Christmas scene, and there looks to be like a ghost coming out of the tree.
What the?
That,
Kind of looks like
that,
a woman, right?
yeah, looks like a little kid.
No, I think he's more of
Yeah.
a woman.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you have any backstory to this Canada Dry?
No, I was just looking in the vault, and it was there. Stuff just appears there. It's paranormal.
There you go. But no, that's a pretty interesting. I definitely think that's a woman. What do you think, Joe?
Oh, definitely a female. Could be maybe a teen, maybe a young adolescent lady. Who knows? It's definitely creepy though. Looks like she's coming right out of the tree.
Yeah, that's obviously today's show is going to be Christmas themed, so I was expecting something like that. But yeah, that's really, really creepy. I have no explanation on that one. I'll be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess we'll get right into our next segment, which is
Yeah.
and we're
You're ready for takeoff. I love that every time, every time. So obviously
what do
this
we
is
got
part of
today? Yeah, go ahead.
So we've traveled all the way around the galaxy to find some news. Dax Harwood comments on Sasha Banks. Now, just give me a second because I've got the actual quote here. She knows what she deserves and she knows what she's earned, and she works her ass off to get it. And if she doesn't get it, she feels slighted. And if she has a reason to feel that way, huge star, huge heart, beautiful human being, the greatest women wrestler of all time. I think she's just incredible. Kind of dry. I'll start with you on that one. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that's an interesting thought because she was right there, neck and neck with Charlotte Flair, and then Charlotte Flair kind of got booked a little bit better than her, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it was interesting to see. Like whenever she won the title, she would lose it right away. So, um, you know, her and Charlotte put on some really really good matches early on, and then she kind of just slid down the card. I don't know if this was politics or what it was, but is she the greatest women's wrestler ever? I don't know.
Not at all. Mr. Graham, your thoughts?
Well, I think it's too early to say she's the greatest ever. Is she really good? Absolutely. Like you said, you mentioned the matches with Charlotte, the last man standing with Bailey down at NXT. Like, she has a claim. And to what Dak said, like, who wouldn't want to be paid what they think they're worth? I mean, it makes all the sense, especially in the wrestling world.
Yeah, absolutely. But to give a little bit more backstory to this, I do know that these obviously are close friends outside the ring, obviously, like family wise. So I do think these comments are leaning more towards, because they're good friends.
That's possible. I'll tell you what, though, all of these like little snippets are coming from Dax's podcast that's going to start up, I guess, in the new year. He seems to have some really hot takes, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. This is obviously, I think he's replacing William Regal's podcast on ad-free shows. So I'm actually excited to see where they're going to go with this.
It should be interesting.
Absolutely, absolutely. So next, should we go into our next story?
Let's go.
Let's go. Let me just get the notes. So we're talking about WWE violation policies. Now, a superstar who violates the policy will receive a 30-day suspension for their first violation and a 60-day suspension for their second violation. A third violation traditionally results in a superstar being released. The new policy eliminates the third strike rule and focuses on getting help they need. Now, obviously, there's a little second part to this, but kind of dry. Your thoughts on this?
Well, I think like they really are kind of they're kind of on the fence here with this wellness policy because they obviously they don't want to mess around with sponsors having someone who's addicted to drugs on the show, but depending on the name value, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to fire him after 3 strikes,
like a Randy Orton.
Yeah,
absolutely. Joseph Graham, your thoughts?
Oh, this is definitely like a double-edged sword. I see the pros and cons with it. I mean, it's great that WWE isn't just going to fire them and throw them out and get them the help they need. But at the same time, like, there needs to be accountability. And I think the only way you really get accountability is when you hit rock bottom. And part of that is, losing your job, as rude as it sounds. But sometimes that's the reality check that people need, especially when you get like into some wrestlers who are entitled think they're untouchable. So
yeah. So obviously, to follow up from this, apparently the changes were made due to some notable superstars already being on 2 strikes through the fear of the company would be forced to fire someone if it didn't want to. Rey Mysterio and Randy Orton have both been suspended twice, although the luchador tally may have been reset since he left and signed a new contract. Meltzer also reported WWE may be fearful on an employee on 2 strikes trying to get on their deal might violation policy on purpose. So basically what they're saying is if they get released and go back, it kind of resets, which I think is a little bit silly in my opinion. Would you agree, Joe?
Yeah, because, I mean, like this wellness policy shouldn't be something that should just be erased by leaving and coming back, I think, because the history of the person doesn't change just because they've left and come back. I think they need to take the whole picture into account.
Yeah, absolutely. So Canada Dry, obviously we see wrestlers come and go in from WWE all the time.
Well, I wonder if the Jeff Hardy situation kind of is what they're looking at here, because it seems like he might have fooled them and may have appeared to be drunk and then said, no, I'm not drunk, and then he refused to get the help he needed. But then, of course, it bit him in the ass as he did some drunk driving. So,
Yep.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, it's just that thought resetting what bugs me so much, I'll be honest.
But do we want 3 strikes? Because like that never works, the 3 strike rule.
But
Yeah,
how's a wrestler going to learn? Do you know what I mean? If they're obviously violating, realistically.
Well, if they have a drug problem, they're not going to be helped by strikes. They're going to be helped because they're getting the help they need. If they get fired, they're just going to go do drugs off on their own without a job. So they're not getting help.
Yeah, I suppose when you put it that way, you're
Like I
probably
said,
true.
like this situation is very double-edged. There's pros and cons to both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we shall definitely see how this plans out. But yeah, so next story is now AEW's latest trademark has now been revealed. AEW recently filed a trademark the term Wrestle Ball and Wrestling Bowl with the United States Patent and Trademark Officer for the category of a pro wrestling exhibit, which is not yet confirmed. Now, Canada Dry, you said this was like the AEW's WrestleMania.
I said potentially it could be.
Interesting. I mean, your thoughts?
Well, they always called WrestleMania the Super Bowl of wrestling, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what a better way to have your WrestleMania by calling it Wrestle Bowl, kind of taking a bit of both.
Yeah, could be. Joe, your thoughts?
Honestly, when I first heard about this, my mind went straight to halftime heat. Maybe it's something that they'll do during halftime of the Super Bowl or leading into the Super Bowl. Like that was my first thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much on it. I mean, obviously it's a trademark. It could. We do not know.
Well,
Could it be a pay-per-view?
AEW doesn't have a WrestleMania. Are they going to go without one?
So, what would you
The
say
main show?
AEW's biggest pay-per-view is at the moment? Then
I think they're all equal. I don't see one bigger than the other.
really, Mr. Graham?
I think if I had to pick one, I think it'd be All Out. Like that to me seems like where they do a lot of their big story combinations. Like especially last year with the debuting of Danielson and
Yeah,
Adam Cole and Ruby Soho. So
yeah, I'd say All Out. I think that's probably the most plausible one.
But I do agree with Canada Dry. Like all four of them are usually must-see pay-per-views. So
yeah,
I was hoping that they would buy the rights to All In and make that be their WrestleMania.
well, they own it now because Tony Khan owns Ring of Honor, so they already have All In now.
So it's interesting that they're not.
Would you put it under the Ring of Honor banner, though? Would you put it under the AEW banner?
Oh, it would have to be under the AEW banner. That was basically the prelude to AEW. It wouldn't make any sense being with ROH. So
yeah, but most of the talent were at the moment was under the Ring of Honor banner.
yeah, but technically, there's no talent under the Ring of Honor banner right now.
Yeah, not now. But what I'm saying is, obviously, when All In originally started, most of the talent was actually under the Ring of Honor banner.
Yeah, but I mean, I still think it's more fitting of AEW than ROH. That's just my opinion, though.
So I have a question for you guys. What's your
Okay.
favorite Christmas drink?
Favorite Christmas drink?
Yes, your favorite Christmas drink.
I love to drink like apple cider, but use a cinnamon stick as a straw.
Oh, nice. Liam?
I'm going to be a twat. Oh, sorry. I don't drink.
No, not alcoholic.
No, just like holiday
anything
drink.
you drink at Christmas.
No, I'm a bit of a boring bugger.
Not eggnog or anything like that?
Cup of water.
Just water. Yeah, I'm a bit of a boring bugger when it comes to that.
A cup of water with bread for dipping.
Okay, I'll respond with another question. What's your favorite Christmas song? Or carol, if you want to call it that way?
Oh, I definitely like the religious songs. Oh, Come All Ye Faithful.
Oh, what a song, by the way. That is a really
Come All
good
Ye
song.
Faithful is probably my favorite.
Absolutely. Mr. Graham?
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't know, honestly. Like I said, I enjoy a lot of the Christian songs too, like Hark the Herald Angels Sing is always a good one. And then, you just got your really loud ones. Like, I'm a big fan of like Dominic the Donkey. I don't know if you ever heard of that. It's just a stupid, silly song, and I love it.
I've not.
And then there's ones like Grandma Got Ran Over by a Reindeer.
Yeah. And, Hippopotamus for Christmas. Like, just a lot of
Yeah,
silly songs that just bring joy. Like,
yeah.
I love them.
When I was a kid, I really liked Frosty the Snowman and Rudolph the Red-Nosed
Everybody
Reindeer.
loves Frosty the Snowman, though.
What about you, Liam?
What's that? Sorry.
What is your favorite song?
I have to agree with you. I think "Oh Come Ye Faithful" is probably one of my favorites because it's just a great song.
Yeah.
Probably that's when I think of Christmas. That's the first song that comes to my head. So yeah, we're in agreement on that one.
What do we have left in the news?
Right. So AEW is obviously due to have a new look in 2023. Michael Mansory, the former VP of Global Television Production for WWE, this guy's obviously, is the main guy behind this, but this has got mixed opinions. A lot of people like it, some don't know, but I'll start with Mr. Graham on this one. Your thoughts?
Oh, I'm liking it. I really hope he brings, like, to me, that's like one of the few things that AEW really hurts on is production. Like, I hope this leads to like maybe some different pay-per-view sets, especially because they only have 4 a year. Really make them stand out, make them different from your regular shows. So
Interesting, Mr.
Liam
Canada.
thinks it's going to be the Super Bowl. I absolutely love this hire because production value. WWE is second to nobody for production value.
absolutely.
Like you can have a really crappy story, but the production value is always through the roof. Unless he's the guy that is always switching the damn cameras. I don't know who's in charge of that, but always drives me crazy in WWE TV.
No, that's
Yeah.
I'm getting.
That's done. So you ain't got to worry about that.
Okay,
I don't think.
That's so horrible. I hate that so much.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
crash zooms and everything gives you a headache.
Every second, switch the camera, switch the camera, switch the camera.
I mean, when you think about it, though, obviously, when you look what AEW's have signed, they've obviously got Michael. Obviously, now is going to be doing the production. You've also got Jeff Jarrett, who's doing I forgot his job title now, but they're going in the right direction.
He's basically in charge of what's going to be live events.
One thing I hope is they keep those two separate entrances.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I like that.
They don't mess with that. I hope maybe there's a central jumbotron sort of thing, similar to WWE does, rather than have two smaller ones. It makes more sense to have just one big one in the middle.
Yeah, it separates obviously AEW to WWE as well because it's something different.
I mean that, and get rid of the Cody Vader. Like, there's no need for it anymore.
No, I agree. I mean, when was the last time that actually got used?
Yeah, I mean, but they still definitely have it like blocked out, like it's there. So I say get rid of that.
Yeah, like I said, there some changes are coming to 2023. We shall definitely see what changes they are. So we've got one more story left to do. Now, this one really surprised me, but Impact's parent company files Santino Marella trademark in ring, by the way, I want to add. So it's, let me just find the note. Anthem Wrestling Exhibits, the parent company of Impact Wrestling, has filed the trademark, the Santino Marella ring name. I just want to put emphasis on that because it's like you Canada Dry said, what's the role going to be? But I think it's in ring and behind the scenes.
I don't see him wrestling. Maybe he's a GM. Maybe he's color commentary. Those are the two roles I can see for him. Maybe.
Yeah, the only thing that's confusing me is obviously the filed it as a ring name, so that's the only confusing thing.
If it's a colorful name, it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to wrestle.
That's surprising. I didn't think WWE would let that get out.
Yeah.
Well, if they're never using it, it's free for the taking, right?
Yeah, I guess. But I didn't even hear. Like, this is the first time hearing about this, so I'm kind of curious. I mean, I first thought it's got to be a backstage role, but you wouldn't be trademarking a name if he's just going to be a backstage person. So
no, it could be.
He's got a lot of charisma, so you want him with the mic and helping the company, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think so.
But I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to be in ring and obviously backstage, but I didn't even know they obviously had a parent company. So this is a surprise to me, but who knows?
So are you going to stick around for our next segment for Bull or Truth?
Oh, we got a Bull or Truth. I didn't say. I didn't know if we did.
I can stick around for that segment, sure.
Okay, yeah, before we get into our Christmas scary stories, we'll let you.
Bull or truth?
So this is the segment we call Bull or Truth, and we have a message from our Mr. Isaacs.
His
So
sexy voice.
here we go.
Good evening, everybody. This is Mr. Isaacs here with another exciting Christmas time edition of Bull or Truth. Lord Lovell was preparing to wed a young woman related to Sir John Cope, the owner of Bramshill House. This was around Christmas time, so mistletoe hung throughout the mansion, inspiring the wedding party to play a game. The young bride-to-be would hide somewhere in the mansion, the groomsmen would all seek her out, and whoever found her first would get to kiss her. So the bride went to hide, and the wedding party sought to find her. However, the minutes turned to hours, and they still could not find her. Eventually, the game turned terribly serious, as no matter where they looked, she remained missing. Not until 50 years later did Lord Lovell, still seeking answers to his bride's disappearance, happen upon a secret closet in an upstairs room of the Bramshill house. Inside, he found a wooden chest sealed shut with a lock. Upon opening the chest, he found the nearly unrecognizable remains of his bride. All right, everybody. Is this story bull or is it truth?
See, he does it every time. I have no idea on this one. This has really stumped me big time.
All right, who wants to go first?
I'll go Bull.
Okay, you're going Bull. What about you, Liam?
I want to say true. There's just something about that story which seems just true. And if it isn't, it's really got me good and proper.
All right, I'm also going true. And let's find out what the answer is.
Are we ready for an answer? This story, my friends, is supposedly true. Merry Christmas, everybody.
I always love that sinister laugh at the end.
It's kind of creepy to tell a story about that and then say, "Oh, Merry Christmas."
Well, that's what the paranormal show is. It's a little bit of love and a little bit of punch in the face.
Wow, he does it every time. Though, do you think it's a lot harder with his voice because he just says the story's so good?
Well,
He
it's
definitely
funny.
has he has the voice made a voice for it. That's for sure.
He was telling in another show. I think it was it your show, Magic of Wrestling,
Yes.
where he was talking about how the people. He was getting ready to play Call of Duty, and some of the people in the chat room, just as they're about to go in the lobby, I guess, of the game, it's like, dude, you sound like you work for like phone sex lines.
Oh dear, that's brilliant.
All right, Joe Graham, thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully, we'll get you on another time soon.
Thanks for having me.
And have a good Christmas.
You too, guys. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Bye.
I like it when we get visitors like that because you know what I mean. It makes the show go really, really good.
Yeah, we need that extra person just to get their thoughts and their feelings. And so obviously this is it's that time again. It's that time again. It's story time with Canada Drive, baby.
Get ready for the magic.
Do you know, every time I'm always making sure I'm listening just to my actual voices in that.
I expect that to disappear sometime soon. So let's delete them again.
Dear.
Delete.
Now, obviously, of course, this is obviously a Christmas episode, so we decided let's talk about some spooky. Should we say spooky? Is that the correct word? Or
What they're true paranormal stories.
Christmas
Pretty
themed?
much. Well, they always tell ghost stories at Christmas time back in the day, especially coming from England.
Mm-hmm.
It's very Victoriaville, Victorian era. The people telling ghost stories, and that kind of disappeared from our culture.
Interesting.
And now it's kind of hip to talk about the paranormal again. We're making a comeback, baby.
Woo!
So yeah, we got a few stories here. We just want to share a little bit of spookiness with you. So the first one goes a little something like this. So a few weeks before Christmas, in 1878, Edward F. Smith was at his home in Brooklyn, New York, when the doorbell rang. Bing bong. He answered the door, but there was no one there. He looked all around, but saw no one. This soon became a nightly occurrence. The doorbell would ring, bing bong, and he'd look around. And often he'd go looking around to see if there was someone there, and there never was. And sometimes he'd wait right by the door, and he'd open it up, and still there'd be no one there. So, growing frustrated, Smith sprinkled ash and flour along the path to the door, expecting to find footprints left behind. But the substances were undisturbed and the noises continued. No matter where he and his family stood around the house, the noises remained unidentifiable. Smith and his family were growing more concerned as the doorbell ringing turned to aggressive banging on the doors. Eventually, they contacted the police. The ringing and the banging continued, and still no one was able to identify its source. One night, a brick suddenly flew through the window from outside, even though the police officers were standing nearby and saw no one. Although they investigated the home for some time, police were unable to identify the cause of the disturbances. Smith and those who witnessed the strange occurrences ultimately concluded they must be paranormal in nature.
Wow. So originally I thought this was going to be like somebody like a knock a door run type thing. But then when you said obviously that somebody threw a brick while there was police there, I'm like, yeah, that's really spooky.
So a brick appears out of thin air and flies through the window because that's the only way it's going to get done, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's no what the hell? And did they get to the bottom of obviously what it all was?
They just dismissed it as a paranormal ghost ringing.
Wow, that's a really something a bit shiver that one.
And you see, like, it eventually came where the ghosts were banging on the door, not just ringing the bell, and they weren't waiting for people to be asleep. People were around when this was going on.
So like, yeah, it's clearly obviously the tormenting them.
Yeah, and it's such a sort of a dark sort of thing when it starts off passive and turns aggressive. It's
Yeah,
like,
that's a
bing
big
bong,
word though.
it isn't right, and then
It's
it's
a
just
big
like
word though.
worse and worse and worse, gradual.
Yeah, that's a really is the name for that? What they call it? The story?
This is called. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's called the Phantom. I don't know. We'll just move on to the next one.
There you go. That's fine. Hey, look who stopped by. Look at the comments.
Hey, it's Mizuno. No, I have no tattoos. And look, it's Debbie. Happy holidays, you fools.
Happy holiday.
Pity the
So,
fool who watches our show.
I thought you'd be busy. Never know. Right, so my story is called The Bright Light and the Calm Watchdog. I had an unusual visitor on Christmas Day, 2008, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't Santa Claus passing by the house in Bloomington, Indiana. The day started in typical fashion with the opening of gifts around the Christmas tree. I served an early Christmas dinner for family and friends, and everybody departed by 5 p.m. except my sister and brother-in-law who live with me. They were sleeping in a bedroom at the end of the hall with the door open. I went into my bedroom, my dog Toby, and shut the door securely. I was just dozing off when I heard the latch on my bedroom door open. I waited several seconds for my sister and brother-in-law to ask whatever they came to say, but there was no other sound. It was almost 7 p.m., so my bedroom was pitch black. I'd left the lights on in the kitchen and the bathroom, and there were lots of Christmas lights in the living room, so the hallway would have been well lit. I would be able to see whoever was at the door just by lifting my head. I pushed the blankets down and lifted my head from the pillow, but as I would have been able to see who was at the doorway, an extremely bright light hit me right in the eyes. I shielded my eyes and yelled, "Turn out that." I'm not going to swear, don't worry.
You did it good. You did it good. Impressive.
You're blinding me. The light immediately disappeared and I heard the bedroom door latch close. My bedside light is a touch lamp, so I tapped it and looked around the bedroom. There was no one at the bedroom except me and Toby. Toby jumped off the bed and went to the door without showing any signs of alarm. At first, I was frightened because Toby is a Dutch Shepherd, well trained to be an excellent watchdog and proven personal protection dog. Since Toby was already up, I decided to go let him out and see what Sis and brother-in-law needed. When I went into the hallway, I could see both of them still in bed. I took Toby to the living room to let him outside, and there was nobody there either. So, who opened my bedroom door and turned a spotlight in my face? Like most people, the thoughts of loved ones are always close of hands during the holiday season. When I first went to lie down, I was thinking how happy I was that my small family had enjoyed a pleasant Christmas. But it would have been so much better if my mother and brother had still been alive to share it with us. I would like to think it was my brother's spirit stopping to say Merry Christmas. I still think of you too. I haven't been able to debunk this strange event for any kind of rational explanation. I'm af- I'm half afraid that my heart stopped during my sleep, and the light I saw was a bright light people reported after near-death experiences. Leave it to me to see the stairway to heaven. Ruin my chance at eternal paradise by saying, "Turn that light up."
Not going to heaven now.
I've made a mental note that if I ever see another bright light to clean up my language, just in case.
That's funny. Do you think if you were about to go to heaven and you swore, God would be like, no, 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 you no, they're
Yeah,
done
like a U-turn. No, you can go back.
that.
So yeah, this person obviously believes that this light he actually saw was obviously the heaven type thing, and the fact that obviously was thinking about the parents, it kind of opens the eyes a little bit.
Could have been an angel.
Could be. What do you reckon?
Well, it seemed like the dog was peaceful about it. Like it wasn't afraid. So angels are peaceful. They're not really afraid when, they have that way about them, right?
Yeah, and I think obviously, as I said there, basically the language kind of like went, nope, you can stay there.
I don't think the language affected anything, to be honest with me. I don't think, see, swear words are our thing. It's not really, it's just cultural, right?
Yeah, but it's just kind of weird the fact that as soon as you obviously the language, because I think that's just normal reaction for anybody. They just literally the light just vanished.
Yeah. Um, it's a very interesting story that the dog, they went out and there was nothing there. Um, it's kind of like my story where I was in the hallway and the bright light was in the door, and then I opened it up and there was not the light wasn't on. So could I have
Yep.
been dealing
So
with something similar?
who knows? Stories could be linked, but anyway, back to you for another story.
So this is called The Returned Relative. It was Christmas time of 1995 or 96. I can't quite remember, but it was at my aunt's house on a reserve in North Dakota. Some of my family was in the living room watching television. The kids were playing in the room or sleeping or something, and my uncle and aunt and I were sitting at the table putting a puzzle together. My cousin, who worked at the casino, would come home around midnight or 1 a.m. This person doesn't like seem which or what it is. It's like midnight one or him. He can't make up his mind. It's 95, 96.
It's kind of all
So
over the place at the moment, isn't it?
yeah. So this night, as she pulled up and was walking toward the house, she looked in the window and saw me sitting at the table, and my uncle sitting across from me, and someone standing to the left of me, and someone standing in the corner. So she continued to walk in the house, thinking nothing of it. As we were sitting there talking, she looked at me and asked, "Who was standing next to me? And where did they go? And who was that in the corner?" I told her no one was there. What are you talking about? She's like, "Yeah, there was someone standing next to you. It looked like your mom, and she was playing with your hair." Um, the person says, "I have long hair, which I used to wear down all the time." Anyway, so this person was running her hand on my hair like a mother does to a child. It kind of freaked me out, being I was probably only 12 or 13 at the time. My cousin swears up and down that someone was standing over me, rubbing my head, and watched me put the puzzle together with my aunt and my uncle. And there's another person standing behind this person. We got around to thinking it was probably her mom that she saw. She passed away on her birthday a week before Christmas in 92. In my family, we consider our aunts and uncles to be like our moms and dads. After thinking that it could have been her, it didn't scare me at all. However, we couldn't figure out who the person was standing in the corner. And always around Christmas time, something strange always happens, and we think it's her visiting us. That's kind of a nice sort of
Hmm.
feeling, thinking it's your relatives.
The problem I've got with this though is at the start I wasn't quite sure if it was this time or that time, so kind of all over the place.
Yeah, I just think it probably didn't quite. It was quite some time ago since it was 95 or 96.
But there you go. But yeah, it's kind of a nice feeling it when you feel like obviously somebody's like there with you.
So far the second and third stories, they're kind of positive.
Yeah, absolutely. Always positive. That's I can't say that about the next one because I've just seen the title. My next story is called The Haunted Tree. I don't even know I'm going to go with this one, but we'll go with it. My parents and I lived in a small home that was around 90 years old. The year would have been 1996, so they actually, for definite, they know it's 96.
Or 97.
We've lived
The
there
year
for
WWE screwed Bret Hart. No, just kidding.
we lived there the time I was 7 years old to the time I was 19. From the very day that we moved in, I felt that I was not alone. One year around Christmas time, I was having a friend spend the night. The heat had just shut off briefly, and she and I were just sitting in the living room watching television when the temperature dropped substantially. So, in other words, basically saying the temperature just dropped so sudden. As I rose to turn up the heat, the Christmas tree began to shake violently. Ornaments were falling off right and left, and she and I were terrified. We ran upstairs and laid down on my bed. My white cat, excuse me, curled up with us, and with my door open slightly. When I gazed out at the dark hallway, I was horrified to see the tall, white figure run down the hall. Ooh, and turned to my friend, and she acknowledged that she had seen the exact same thing. She never spent the night ever again.
I wouldn't either.
No,
I'm not
I don't
staying at
think
that
I
friend's
would.
house again. You can
You
come to
just
my house.
Can you imagine that though? You just seen your tree like violently just shake. You run and hide, then you walk out, and next thing you know, you just see a white shadow just go bang. Would it a white? Sorry, a white figure. That's just weird.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What about the poor kitty? He was probably terrified half to death.
I know. Poor kitty.
Yeah, I this one's a little. This one isn't doesn't have that good nature. This is more back to the scarier side of Christmas.
I did say that the next story is not as good as the first two.
All right, so we'll get to the next story. This next story is called "The Figure in the Recliner." My mother, to whom I was very close, passed away in 1964 when I was 17 years old. I left home that year and moved to Ontario from Nova Scotia. In 1969, I met a girl who I will call Karen, and we got married in March of 1970. In December of 1970, we were expecting our first child. We were living in a small one and a half bedroom bungalow. There was a fireplace in the living room. My wife and I loved the fireplace, and we had it lit every night. It was Christmas Eve, 1971, and we had just finished putting the gifts under the tree, and a nice fire gave off a beautiful glow on the tree. There was one string of lights which was supposed to flash and stop several days before. It was 5 minutes to midnight when the fireplace suddenly just went out. Poof. And the string of lights started to flash. And the other lights stopped flashing. My wife and I were sitting on the floor, and it had become very, very chilly in the room. I looked over to my lazy boy chair, and a figure was sitting there. It was my mother with a big, beautiful smile on her face. My wife, who had never met my mother, said she could see the same thing. This ghost never spoke, but just kept looking at me and my wife, and was smiling. At 12 midnight, the fire in the fireplace started up again by itself, and the lights on the tree stopped flashing, and the others started flashing again. I looked over in the chair, and the ghost was gone. No matter what I did to those Christmas lights, they never flashed again.
The fact that it happened around like midnight really says a lot, because the saying goes around midnight, a lot of paranormal stuff comes to light.
This is like Christmas magic, right?
And I thought I was the magic one, but yeah,
It's like poof, the fire goes out, the broken lights start working, and then there's this ghost sitting on the recliner.
the one thing I like about this story is obviously the fact that we're just smiling. It's a really happy story.
I don't know about the chill though, right? So that's the one thing. The fire
He's
goes
rich.
out. There's like the temperature drops. I don't know. Is this something
It's
messing with them? Is this really their mom?
Who knows? But do you think this has got like both elements where it's like creepy but also happy at the same time?
I think yeah. It's like it's walking the fence there. It's on the edge of goodness and badness.
Wow. Do you know what? Some of these stories we've actually said tonight, obviously, I've got mixed feelings. I'm not going to be honest.
Yeah.
We've gone from happy, sad to creepy to bit of both. So,
Yeah. Well,
wow.
we'll see what the next one brings us.
Right. So, this is the last story we've got. It's called The Ghostly Christmas Choir. So, I don't know how I feel about this one. On Christmas Eve night, 1978, at about 3 a.m. in Klamath Falls, Oregon, I was suddenly awakened by a choir singing. The house was new construction, miles from the nearest church. I strained to hear any words that I could understand or a tune that I could identify, but I could not understand the language or tune. I did get a feeling of angelic exhalation, reverence, I hope I said that right, and gladness of heart. This was truly a heavenly choir lifting the voices on high, singing Hosanna in the highest in an unknown tongue without accompaniment of instruments. So basically what they're saying is it's just the voice, there's no like anything else. I examined the television, but it was turned off. As was the radio, I explored outside, but the singing was not heard outdoors. The way the countless male, female, and children voices intertwined together, the tunnels going from operatic highs to deepest bass voices in perfect harmony, it must have lasted about 10 minutes, but it was touching for an eternity.
Wow.
So we've seen obviously like one person, but this is like an actual choir. And
So
apparently,
this really is like a Christmas miracle.
absolutely, because it said that the nearest church was it say miles? Yeah, miles away.
So, do you remember that paranormal story where it was it playing Led Zeppelin?
Yes, because if I remember rightly, Mr. Isaacs was obviously on the episode with that as well.
Yeah. So this is kind of like that, but the opposite. It's like
Yeah,
it's just this music is playing. It's this choir singing. It's not. This is just their heavenly voices, and you can't figure out where it's going. And it's uplifting her spirit, and she can't understand why, and we don't know where it's coming from. So this is a pretty cool Christmas story, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's called the Ghostly Christmas Choir. That's a really
Or
nice
that would
little story.
eliminate the ghostly part. I may even say the heavenly
Yeah,
Christmas choir.
that's a really nice story. Obviously, do you know what to end on? I mean, wow. I mean, what's your overall opinion now? Obviously, with all the stories we've talked about.
I think I really liked the one with the bright light waking her up, just like the humanity of it all, where she's swearing. And was it a girl?
It was, yes.
Yes, she's swearing, but it's the humanity of it all, because that's what you're gonna do. You're like, wait, bright lights waking you up. You're like, what the beep beep.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
and
I
and
really,
and I really liked this one. This one kind of touched me in the feels.
yeah, absolutely. Because it's like I said, it's not. It does remind me, obviously, that story we did. I can't remember exactly what we called it, but it's a nice choir. It's nice and I don't want to say soothing. That's probably the best reaction.
Well, yeah, this person said that it touched her forever,
Yes, it did.
like in a positive way.
Which that says a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you got actually? Because I've only just seen the time. Have you got any Christmas stories you like to share?
Um, let's talk about our favorite Christmas toy that we got when we were or the favorite Christmas present we got when we were kids.
Oh, okay. For me, I was probably a big fan of obviously the Power Rangers. So when I was younger, my parents got actually I think it was the Green Ranger, which is obviously one of my favorites from way back.
Is he the
And
one that died?
he did, yes, that's the one. That's probably why obviously when he actually passed away, it kind of hit me because it's like somebody from my childhood.
Yeah,
But yeah, I always loved the Green Ranger because it's just one of my favorites. He used to come home from school every day, stick Power Rangers on, and yeah. What about you?
I remember I got. I was big into He-Man, and I couldn't get Castle Grayskull, so my mom got me Snake Mountain, which is Skeletor's base,
Mm-hmm.
and so I got up really early, and I tore a piece off of the gift of the wrap, and then I quickly taped it back up and flipped over the present, and then I knew what it was, and I acted all surprised when I got it, so no one would know anything.
Oh, and nobody actually had any idea that you already looked.
No, I think this is if they're watching. Sorry, mom.
Yeah, Canada Dry literally opened a present and he just did not tell you for all these years.
But yeah, I think we can pretty much wrap up the show. It's a very positive episode today, so um, I think we can just tell them where we can find our shirts.
Yeah,
And
I'll say I don't think there's
and
no
what-
knowledge is power in this one, is there? I think
oh,
everything
right,
just
we do have. Sorry, let's do the rewind. Hey guys, it's time for our favorite part of the show. It's time for
knowledge is power.
maybe for you to say it. Knowledge really is
I said,
power.
so I've actually got one straight away, and it's just come to me straight away.
Oh, this,
So,
this is a sign from God.
so kids, right? Yeah, if you ever go to bed and stuff like that, and it's pitch black and stuff like that, and you hear your door go open, right? Yeah, and you see a bright light. Whatever you do, don't swear.
That's a good piece of advice. That's some knowledge is power, right?
There you go.
There's always, did you ever get your mouth filled with soap when you were a kid?
I did not. I won't say I was a really good boy, but never to that extreme.
Oh, you didn't swear.
Oh, I did, but just not in front of my parents.
They didn't catch you, is what you're saying.
There you
You were
go.
sneaky about it. You were You a sneaky bugger.
Magicians are always sneaky.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I got soap a couple times. Didn't work. Um, of course, my knowledge of power moment is this. If it's the middle of the night and you hear a doorbell ring, just turn over, go back to sleep, and ignore the whole thing. They can't ring the doorbell forever. Put on some bloody earmuffs and ignore it.
Unless they
That's
throw a
the
brick
best.
through your window.
That's the best advice I can give you. All right, kids, this has been Knowledge is Power.
Do you know what? After today's episode, I'm really, really happy. I'm really smiling. It's been a really fun episode.
Yeah, this is probably our most uplifting episode. We got to talk about some wrestling. We got to find out about the bride who was stuck in the coffin. Oh wait, that's not good.
That's next week.
Yeah, that was the Bowl of Truth story. Remember?
Yep, it was. It was. So, but
That
okay,
story was a little dark, but you got to mix it.
absolutely.
That's life. You got to mix it a little light, a little dark together.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you believe it though? This is our last show before Christmas.
Yeah. Which brings me to this. Tomorrow we have our Christmas clip show, and we're going to be seeing everyone from the effing wrestling community, and they're going to be wishing you all a Merry Christmas. Um, and it's going to be good. It's been fun putting this together.
It was. I mean, everybody's. There's been so many people who's got involved with this. I mean, some of the messages I've sent Canada Dry my video, and he actually loves it. By the way,
I do. There's a guest in his.
absolutely. So that will be obviously on the channel at 1 p.m. my time, which I do believe is 8 p.m. Eastern.
So how many people did we have on our show today? We had myself. We had you.
Yep.
We had Fruit Cat,
Fruit Cat. We had Zach.
Jeremy Isaacs.
Yep.
We had Joseph Graham.
Yes.
So all those people, including Fruit Cat as a people, are in our clip show tomorrow.
It is.
So
Absolutely. And who starts the show? Who actually starts the actual video?
I
That
do
guy
not know.
right
We'll
there.
have to wait and
No,
find
that
out.
guy right there. That guy right there.
All right. So tell them where they can find our website. Tell them where they can get all our social media and our t-shirts and all that stuff.
Of course. So you can head to fnwrestling.com. You can find all our social medias on there. No, right at the bottom. There you go. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. Did I mention we've obviously got some shirts? But you can head to Pro Wrestling Tees /FN Wrestling. You can buy yourself a Wrestling with a Paranormal shirt, the All FN Wrestling shirt, the Magic of Wrestling shirt, AFW shirt. We've got loads of shirts, right, Canada, right?
Yes. And of course, if you like old school wrestling, head to Pro Wrestling Tees /Adrian Adonis. And of course, we have this rock and roll, adorable Adrian shirt. But this is not my favorite. This one is my favorite.
Of course, of course. Now, every shirt is blessed by you, if I remember rightly.
Yes, that is true. So, although I do not have holy water, whenever a shirt is sold, I get an email from Pro Wrestling Tees telling me someone's bought a shirt, tells me the email address of who's bought it. Sometimes it gives me their phone number, but I'm not going to phone anyone. Don't worry. But what I do is I pray for that person, and I pray that the shirt they get will be blessed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all that's left to say for me is hope we all have a great Christmas, and we will be back. Is it next week?
Yes, we will. We're not really skipping any episodes here, so
Not at all. So there's obviously no Magic of Wrestling. There's no the All Left and Wrestling show, but of course, Wednesday night you can tune into DAD, which stands for what?
Dynamite After Dark.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
say your
That's all.
catchphrase, and I'll say mine, and we'll end the show.
Magic Man out.
And remember, just keep fighting.
Sorry, don't mind me. I'm just looking at my list. So yeah, well, we've got underwater basket weaving, kick a shark, fly to Jamaica, and eat loads of jalapenos.
Jalapenos, you mean?
Whatever.
What is this list?
It's my to-do list for next year.
He's got a bucket list. And remember, keep on wrestling with the paranormal.